Commission implies that I'm getting paid an hourly wage and then commissions on top of it. It's a bonus on top of it.
Yeah.
For realtors, it's the only fee we're getting.
Yeah.
And sometimes we don't even get the fee.
Yeah.
And yes, the fee is negotiable and always has been negotiable, but it needs to be more of a standard word, not, I think commission to me sounds like I can do what I want with it.
Yeah, it completely does.
Welcome to Agent Success Podcast. If you're a real estate agent looking to succeed in today's crazy market, well, you're in the right place. Each week, we talk with successful real estate agents willing to share their expert insights, trade secrets, and mindset that help them to succeed. There's no fluff, just straight to the point content that prioritizes one thing above all, your success. So without further ado, let's cut to the chase.
Welcome again to agentsuccesspodcast.com, where we cut to the chase, and we are on episode number 2 with Treasure Davis. How are you, Treasure?
You just started this podcast?
I did. I just started it like that. You weren't even ready for it, right? Wasn't that awesome?
Episode 2?
Episode 2, yes. This time what we're going to do, Treasure, is we're going to dig to
28. Episode 20.
Oh, no, episode 2 with you.
Oh, okay.
Episode 2 with you. Okay, part 2.
Duo.
Yes.
Dos,
yes. Treasure Davis Dos. So what we're going to do is we're going to dig into processes today. Because last time we spent too much time talking about Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes. So
is that possible?
Is it possible? Yeah, it is
not.
So this time we're going to focus on processes. But before we do that, I did have a question. Does Taylor Swift hate Travis Kelce?
No, she loves him a lot.
Really?
Yeah.
Have you ever listened to her music?
Well, she's just gathering material right now. Eventually, there will be songs about him.
Okay. Yeah. So gold label record will be out in the next couple of years.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I do have something exciting to tell you that you should know.
Let's hear it.
The Avs won last night.
That's exciting.
5-1.
Yeah.
It was a great game. And my daughter goes to DU.
Okay.
And they won the national championship, and they were there to celebrate as well.
Oh, wow.
I know.
Holy cow.
I know, it's exciting.
That's very exciting. DU has a history of very good teams up there.
Absolutely.
So, obviously, they don't compete in football or basketball concentrated effort. Same with CC down here, right? Just super concentrated effort, like we will rock at hockey, right?
Right.
So, well, that's awesome, but it doesn't change the fact that that at some point, Travis and Taylor will break up. And when that happens, what's that going to do to the Chiefs? Nothing. Zero impact. Mahomes is too powerful. He's Superman.
I mean, have you seen him play?
I saw his very first game was against Denver in December.
They still have a team?
Well, his first game was against the Denver Broncos. Yeah. And he was a rookie, and I thought we were going to have like 15 years of trouble with this guy, and so far it's been like 5 or 6, and it's trouble. Yeah.
I will tell you that I just met Reggie Rivers.
Yeah.
He was speaking at an event that I was at.
Yeah.
And I went to take my photo with him, and I'm like, you should know that I'm a Chiefs fan. And he was like, it's okay. They're a great team. Come on in here. Let's take a photo. So if a former Denver Bronco can love me. A good Denver
Bronco. I do, and yeah.
Then I
can love you too.
Then you too can change your opinion.
I will work on this through time.
It does
time
take
heals. Time heals. Let's talk about processes.
Okay.
How does that sound? Processes. When we were at a mastermind, what was it, a week ago, something like that, and you had your team up, and you were talking about some of the different things that you do, and it made me want to ask a few questions. But also, just in general, you run a high producing team, right? It's really not a very large team. It's more of a concentrated high producing team, and so the processes and how to succeed at that elude most people. Most people think this is what I've determined. Most realtors think they want to build a team until they do, and they realize it's a ton of work and very difficult and hard to maintain or build or anything, hard to keep people, the whole thing, right? And then if they do have a team, what they struggle with consistently is processes. And how are we going to handle, independent salespeople and our leads and their leads, and do we have a consistent workflow no matter where things come from? And does that make sense? Like, it's like this never-ending battle that I see with real estate agents trying to figure that out. And so I wanted to dig a little bit with you, and can you give me a quick idea of how your team is structured, just in general? Is it salespeople and then a couple ops, or what's the overall structure?
Yes, so we have 15 sales agents, counting myself.
Okay.
I'm still in production, so that's 15 of us. And so we will do over 400 transactions for the 15 of us, which is where people say we're high production.
Now, is that about 50-50 buy sell, or is it more
I
sell?
would say that's a good
about
number,
50-50?
50-50.
Okay.
And then we have 9 admin. So
Okay.
I'm very admin heavy
Yeah.
because I want to combat the idea that solo agents say of like, well, I want to handle everything myself.
Sure.
I'm like, you don't want me or any individual agent to handle everything by themselves. You
Yep.
want them to have some sort of a team around them, where if solo agents look back, like when I was a solo agent, I still had a team.
Yeah.
I had my lender, I had my title partner,
yeah.
I had my home inspector, I had people that I trusted in my corner
Yeah.
to help me to do a good job for the clients.
Yep.
So ours has just shifted a little bit. Of course, we still have those vendors that
Yep.
are our partners as well. And then we have 9 admins. So we have someone that does ops. We have, are you going to write this down or fake write it down?
I'm actually writing real notes.
There's nothing on that paper, just so you guys can see it.
And how does that make you feel, Treasure?
I just wanted people to know that that is blank. You look down like you're asking questions that are written down, but
Yes.
I'm not sure that there was
Yeah.
much prep that went into my podcast
I'm gonna
today.
put a check mark next to that one. I'm actually going to write some questions.
Okay,
but
good.
Please continue.
Yes. So then I have a CFO that handles all of our finances. His main job is to make sure that our agents are paid correctly.
Okay.
So he's like the double checker of everything.
Okay.
To make sure that everything's going out with our referral partners, with everything.
Okay. So, well, I'm going to have a few questions, but keep going.
Okay.
Give me the rest of the team.
So ops, CFO, listing manager. Listing manager also has a backup. He's a virtual assistant. His name's Ian. He's been with us about 6 years.
Well, that's interesting. Usually VAs flip a lot.
No.
So, interesting. Okay.
And then we also have a transaction coordinator who's also licensed. So is our listing manager. She's licensed. Our transaction coordinator also has a virtual assistant backup who has been with us. He just celebrated a year with us.
Is it the same company, both of them?
Yes.
Okay.
I have 3 actually.
Okay.
And then I also have marketing, who is sitting to my left.
That's marketing.
Marketing.
Is that what she's wearing? She's wearing some swag right now.
She
so
is
yeah,
all
nice.
swagged out.
There you go.
And then she also has an assistant. His name is Gerald. He's been with us 3 years. And so he is her assistant. And then we also have someone that works the front desk.
Okay.
He handles our moving truck. He handles who comes in and out. He handles all of that.
Okay.
So that makes up.
It's a lot of moving parts.
It's a lot of moving parts.
But it also, one thing that I'm loving about this is it consolidates the work and the focus for each individual spot. So when you start dealing, let's say payroll as an example, Treasurer's not dealing with payroll and lead distribution and referrals and all that other stuff. Treasurer's focused on her section. Michaela's not working as the TC, or the TC's not, this and that. So it's very interesting to have everything broken out. How long did it take you to get, a lot of people start with like an assistant, or don't start, but get to an assistant or a TC, or they get a buyer's agent to help or whatever. How long did it get you to where you really started to structure an actual team?
I would say 12 years ago when
Okay.
I first brought her on. So I've been licensed 20 in February.
Mm-hmm.
I hope you'll host a party for me. When
20
I hit
in February.
Yeah.
February of 2025.
20 of 2025. I'll be waiting for my invitation.
It's a surprise party.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it took me, 8 years
Yeah.
as a solo agent to
Okay.
decide to
Start building a
team. But this was before teams were really a thing. I mean, there
Yeah.
was a couple of them, but
Yeah.
teams weren't a known.
Yeah. It's kind of a
Product.
fresh idea. I don't know about fresh idea, but not executed right? So
Correct.
a lot of people didn't do it. And so right now with that many people on operations, I'm going to ask a couple questions for listeners dealing with these people. So you have a different person. You have one operational person, which is different than a listing manager, different than a TC, different than marketing. Can you give me an idea what an operational manager does?
If he were here, I tell you, I'm not sure. No. And then he'd walk out the door.
She has no idea how much I do for this team.
No, I have no idea. So he does all the hiring.
Oh, okay.
He does all of the letting go.
Okay.
Because we feel
Kind of an HR-ish.
he's kind of an HR-ish
Okay.
kind of guy. He also does all of our referrals.
Like when you guys get a referral that comes in, like that's the distribution of the referral to a team, to a sales agent?
Yep. And then
Okay.
he does one-on-ones with the sales agents. He tracks their lead flow. He makes sure they're following up. He tracks everything for our partners. So we're partners with Homes. We're partners with Realtor.com. We're partners with Zillow. So they have metrics that they hold us to. So he's monitoring those metrics.
To make sure you guys are hitting your closing ratios and call times and all that kind of stuff.
Correct.
I thought you turned that off.
It's hard to find good help
I
around
know.
here.
Jeez, you'd think. So that operation team, if he has one-on-ones, is it more, it's not, from what it sounds like, it's not a one-on-one of like, let me teach you how to sell this. It's a one-on-one of, let's go through your lead conversions and let's go through this and see where you're stacking up where you need to be.
Correct. It's all focused on KPIs.
Oh, nice.
Now, I will tell you, I do have one more kind of admin person. That's Leanne. She's our sales coach.
Okay.
And then we also have a Tom Ferry business coach.
Okay.
So for the team.
Gotcha.
And then I have two other coaches other than my Tom Ferry coach. So it's a machine.
Coaching is huge. That's something that a lot of agents that are like, oh, I do Buffini, and they did it once, and they got a whole bunch of postcards, and then they're like, this is stupid, or they go to Tom Ferry and they're like, yeah, I'm going to do this, and they talk a great game, but they don't actually execute on the stuff. And when you look at it, like as an example, the one coach that you have that I met the other day, he's very execution minded, meaning you do this at this time. You do this at this time. And he's very clear on why that is. And I think what happens with coaching a lot of times is, well, one of two things. Either you outgrow the coach, because sometimes it's like a football player needs to change teams, change environment, change scenery, and then kind of get that spark back. It's a little bit different, little headspace, right? So somebody needs to change coaches. So I don't really want to say outgrows, but their mindset shifts slightly differently than their current coach. But I think what happens most of the time is they don't follow. They don't, because it's really not super complicated. It's like, make your calls, set your appointments, do this many calls, do this many appointments, present things this way, right? Here's a great way to do it. Connect with people, keep your mind fresh. Like, it's really not a ton of highly secret items. It's like the data's all out there, and you have a coach. And I look at coaching almost, they're there to give you, your structure, of course, but your structure is going to be unique, right? It's going to be different than everybody else. It's not going to be exact mirror. But that coach is very important for accountability. And it's easy when you're paying them to feel like you don't need to report in or to do this or to do that, and they should do more for you. But really, you need to commit. You need to be invested in it, right? And I see a lot of real estate agents that need that. So if you guys have that on a team level, and so I'm just kind of envisioning, right? I'm envisioning you have that on a team level. You have that, as a Tom Ferry coach, and then you have your operations manager who then is holding you accountable additionally to your conversion rates and everything. So that's a lot of accountability. And I don't know if you know this, but most people who become independent salespeople, let's just call them realtors, right? they start to do that. They oftentimes have an illusion of like driving around in an awesome new Escalade and making gobs of money and maybe doing some TikToks or something like that. But every Tuesday morning for 2 hours when you're pounding the phone and you're at an open house and you're like, where the heck is everybody? I just wasted 3 hours. And then I put signs up for an hour, and then I went onto Facebook and I did something. and it doesn't work out on that one. Like there's a lot of stuff that goes in there. So to be able to hold yourself accountable is very, very important. The CFO though, I got a little confused here. You said the CFO does payroll, or not pay, like commissions and stuff like that, right? Make sure the splits are working right. But I thought you said something about how they're working with lead distribution as well, or referrals. No,
he's just making sure they're paid out correctly, because we want to make sure the referring agent gets paid.
Oh, gotcha.
Our referral partners are paid quickly.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah. Cool. So that's that's heavy in accounting as well.
Heavy in accounting, spreadsheets, budgets.
Ooh, yum! I love that stuff.
No, horrible.
Budgets. I got a sign that somebody bought for me and put it in my office. And what does it say? It says, when you excel, they spreadsheet about you. And I thought, that is fantastic. In fact, this morning I brought some people in my office and I said, okay, here's I formulated all the math and everything. I said, here's how it works out. And nobody's really they don't get super pumped about it, but I like it. So I'm glad you have a CFO that can nerd out on that. That's awesome.
That sounds horrible.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
So listing manager.
Yes.
What does a listing manager do?
She
manages the listings. Yeah.
So we want to make sure that our clients have great experiences, and so we get our reviews after they close.
Okay.
So, and we have almost 700 5-star reviews on Google.
That's insane.
So we're
really
very committed to the process.
Yeah. Are you pretty much focused on Google for your reviews?
We have about the same on Zillow as well.
But not like Yelp or anything like that?
No.
Yeah, I've heard that it's really more focused on those areas, like the Zillows and the Googles.
I go to Yelp for like restaurants.
Food. Yeah.
Not to find a
good realtor.
Professional, in my opinion.
I kind of just want a hamburger and I don't know where to go. Okay, so delivering that experience and then getting the reviews. So what kind of give me a rundown of what else they do?
Gosh, if she were here, I would say, what does she do all day?
Seems like you need to be more busy. We only listed 200 houses this year. So
I know. What does she do with herself? So she does her own hour of power, future prospecting. So she does that as well.
Oh, so she's trying to sell as well
for the team.
Interesting. Okay.
Yes.
Now
because sometimes it's just a different voice they need to hear, right?
Okay.
Sometimes Tim.
Sometimes I just need to hear a different voice, buddy. Yeah. Well, I'm sure Taylor will sing a song about that at some point. I just need to hear a different voice.
Right.
Yeah.
So she handles that. She also preps everybody for all their appointments, gets everything ready to go.
Oh, wow.
Preps all the listing contracts.
Yeah, just for listings, not for buyers.
Just for listings.
Okay, focused on listings.
Yep.
Okay.
So she will handle all of that, get all that ready to go, and then get everything prepped for us, get everything on the MLS, get the photos scheduled.
Oh, wow.
She handles everything from A to Z.
Holy smokes.
Don't tell her that.
I'm sure she could do more, of course. But,
I mean, there's always more to do.
You got time to lean, you got time to clean. Come on. So I guess a little fast food background there. So as an agent that comes in, they're not worried about, is my listing presentation ready? Is my schedule ready? That's freaking awesome.
Yeah. So she handles everything. Then once we get a contract in, she is following up on feedback. She's getting all that done. We're presenting, obviously, the contract, getting that under contract, and then she handles disclosures, compliance with the state, and then we go on 3-way text with our clients so that we're all communicating together, which for us has been a game changer.
Wow. So it's, as opposed to email, I use AOL. I'm joking, I don't, but I figured
use dial-up.
Yeah. Guess what? I've got mail. It's fantastic. So on an SMS, what system are you guys using for that? For texting?
I'm sorry. How old are you? What's SMS?
Texting. MMS, multimedia phone message. I saw it on the interweb before I got here. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Remember when they started making commercials that said www.
Yes.
whatever? And we were like, what's this?
Wow. The world, what? The whole world? What?
Kayla, do you remember those days? No, she doesn't. Don't even listen.
I remember I remember when I first heard about the internet. I was working at a bicycle shop, and a friend of mine was telling me because they were coming out with a new bike, and we were like, man, when are they gonna come out with this? He's like, I was in a chat room last night. I was like, what's a chat room? And he starts telling me. I was like, whoa, you're digitally like, we had a fax machine, we had phones. This is crazy. I was like, it's live? Like everybody, yeah. I was like, holy crap. That's when I first started learning about the internet and
chat SMS.
Rooms. That's when I first heard about SMS too. Let's move on.
So for texting, we're just using good old phones for that with our clients.
Okay, but you're connecting.
Well, I take that back. We use our CRM a lot, so that's through Follow Up Boss.
Okay, yeah.
So we use Follow Up Boss, which links to our phones.
Okay.
So that we have everything recorded. So we have all of our phone calls recorded, all of our text messages recorded, all of our emails recorded, just so that we can like go back and listen if we need to make sure everything's.
How does that work though? When a call comes in, it comes in through Follow Up Boss. Does it open up in Follow Up Boss, or is it opened up just in your phone?
It just opens up in our phone, but it's linked somehow through.
So they're recording your personal conversations with your mom and your siblings?
No, no. Just if they call through follow-up.
Through the
Follow-Up Boss number.
Hey, CIA, everybody's recording them anyway, but I was just wondering.
Right. What do you think your Alexa does?
Oh, dude. When we got an Alexa in my house, I've turned all the cameras off, and then I'd go through and unplug them when nobody was like listening to music or whatever. It's like I've slowly submitted to the will of Alexa. I have it set timers. Like last night I was cooking. I was like, hey, Alexa, set a timer for 17 minutes. It's like, this is convenient. I don't have to go to the dial and turn to 17. This is amazing. But yeah, it's creepy. It's completely creepy. So I think I've submitted to the idea that this phone is going to listen to me. Alexa's going to listen to me. I tried to find a flip phone that is not on a regular network, right? And I've found a couple, but
that's great for business. You should really look into doing that. It's a good idea.
Well, here's what I was thinking. If I have to type out a text and I have to type like the letter or the number 5 3 times to get to the right letter. Do you remember those? Because you had to, yeah.
Why are you talking about how old you are? Like this whole podcast today. Come on.
I don't know. Yeah, it's heavy on my mind right now. I guess I'm not sure. So anyway, back to texting.
Processes.
Yes, processes. And then we have a TC. And it's interesting because so the listing manager does a ton, but the TC, are they jumping in on live listing? Is it just when they go under contract, and then does the listing manager kind of bow out at that point? Or
so our listing manager stays from beginning to end, so that our clients only have one contact other than the agent.
Ooh, I like that.
So they're not bouncing around for people. So she focuses on just the listing side, and our transaction coordinator focuses on just the buy side.
Okay.
And she's also doing the same process, making sure everything's compliant, making sure inspections are scheduled, making sure that lenders have ordered the appraisals, making sure that lenders know that earnest money is about to become non-refundable.
Jabs on the lender
to make sure that lenders know what day closing is, because it's sometimes a shock what day the closing is when they had the contract from 40 days ago.
Yeah.
So
I hear that most calendars you can put like a reminder in there or whatever. Yeah.
I mean, through SMS maybe, but I'm not sure about any other way.
So, but we have found also within our office that having independent persons, we have an independent person that every single file that comes in, I don't care if it's an in-house deal, if it's an independent deal, whatever it is, every single transaction that comes in, we have somebody that that communicates out with the client and makes sure everything is flowing, and that's for loan locks, appraisals, make sure that, and they're independent, so it makes it to where they can keep a third-party eye on the processor, on the loan officer, and I found that just knowing that there's accountability there for everybody, it's like everybody does their stuff.
I love that.
And then when something needs to be done, she has a really nasty habit of CCing everybody on it. That's not the client, of course, but it was like, hey, Tim, are you going to sign your disclosures? And there's like 3 people connected to the email. I'm like, man, really? And then the shame kicks in, and I'm like, 7 minutes later, It's done. You can not do that again. That'd be great. Yeah. But it's kind of nice to have that, right?
Good. We need that.
Yeah, it's more of a well, anyway, I think that's a beautiful idea. And so the TC, they're handling buyers and listing.
Just buyers.
Just buyers. Okay.
Angela handles everything
And
as
that's
the listing manager. She handles everything on the listing side.
Okay. Now, one thing that I thought was interesting when you were talking the other day with your ops staff, there was something that got mentioned that I hadn't even thought about. And you said that you keep the transaction software separate from your database software or from your CRM type software, right? Can you explain what the logic was? Because really, like the goal always for me is like I want an all-in-one, all-encompassing, and I have never ever found that somebody's lacking always, right? There's never a system that seems to do exactly what I want. But kind of give me the logic that you think on that.
So the logic for us has been through real life practice and going through different CRMs and kind of outgrowing the CRMs because, right, like we started with them and kind of watching them go through the process. So for us, when we switched from RealVolve, because we just had some hesitations, when we went to transfer that over, we were like, oh my gosh, this is a disaster. That's
trying to get all the data over.
Yes.
Okay.
And the way that it was reading wasn't the way we actually wanted it to read. We were just limping through with the way that it had been set up. Mm-hmm. So now the way that we have it is so that all of our transaction data is in open to close, so we can track everything.
And that's just a transaction management software is what that is?
Yes.
Okay.
And it scales for teams. So it scales as we do more. We're not going to bust the system.
Gotcha. So you do 10 or you do 100, it's capable of handling that.
Correct.
And is that kind of is it do like reminders to the team like, hey, your inspection deadline's coming up or this or that, like the whole everything you need to know about the process of
we have
an
layers
open file.
for layers because people look at information differently.
Mm-hmm.
Some look at SMS, some look at texting, some look at emails, some look at Slack, some look on their Google Calendar. However,
it shoots out to all that.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It does all of that.
So depending on how you want to, it communicates with you how you want to communicate.
Right. And so for us, it was more important for us to have software that talk to each other than one encompassing for all of it. So we need them to talk.
So they have an API where the data will talk and the necessary data will go back and forth. But when you're actually working on a file, you're not in your CRM worried about your database. You are focused solely on that, and that's where it rocks, is that one job.
Correct.
It's almost like this, right? It's almost like you got the ops, you got the CFO, you got the listing manager. So you kind of take that same philosophy of like, we have this software and this software. The softwares have to talk and pull data or push data as needed. And this is what we found in the mortgage world is a lot of CRMs want to be like mortgage software. A lot of mortgage software wants to create their own CRM. And they're really awesome at being just mortgage software. And they're really half-baked at being a CRM. And it's kind of the same thing. So having that open communication between the two softwares is very important. So you've kind of taken the same philosophy with software as you do with your team.
I had never really thought of it that way, but yes, we are doing that 100%.
Do you use any other softwares other than those two? That I guess main softwares?
Follow Up Boss, Ylopo, Open to Close. Those are probably the three.
I guess I thought Ylopo was a CRM. It's not a CRM, or what do you use that for?
That's for our website.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. They have a lot of AI and such built in there, right?
They do.
Do you guys use anything? Have you started implementing much as AI has evolved within your business?
We have just started, and it has been amazing. I'm kind of really loving it and wanting to do more and more and more.
You are a nerd.
I am a nerd.
Deep down, I knew it.
So I have a guy working on right now.
You just brushed right past that comment.
I did.
Okay.
To get me to inbox zero, like other than like inbox zero, which I'm like, I just snooze it and then it comes back to me anyway. So what's the point?
Yeah.
So I'm like, there has to be AI that can organize this and make this better. And so he's working on developing that for me because I took him the specific ideas of what I wanted to, and he's like, oh, we can do that.
Yeah. Wow.
So yesterday we were talking about AI making some videos for us and doing content for us.
Yeah.
We also have it where, because responding to Google reviews is one of the most important things you can do for your business, but it's also to respond within 5 minutes.
Oh, interesting.
And so we have AI on the background that responds to all of our reviews within 5 minutes, and it sends us a template before it pushes it out.
So you can look at it, you can adjust the template?
Yes.
Wow.
And then it automatically
Did you have that custom built, or is that a software? You have that custom built?
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
So we are custom building. So we have it now where when a sales call comes in, it actually records and kind of audits the phone call to give the agents some things to consider on the next phone call, or follow-up things, or things that they can do. So we're having that built out too.
That's fantastic.
So we are kind of leaning in really
You're going really heavy.
I'm going in really heavy on AI.
I absolutely love AI. To me, it feels like they have really limited the daylights out of it right now, as far as creativity goes. But the business applications, I'm struggling to find outside of custom builds, obviously, which I haven't explored custom builds, but I'm struggling to find a lot of very applicable business AI builds. Meaning, like you said, I want it to go through and do, my inbox, or I want to, they have an AI plugin now that's just starting that, it'll take Zoom and it will take the whole Zoom conference call and then crunch it down to a summarization with header, almost like a blog post in a way, right? I have been using a lot of AI for blog posts, but I would like a lot more automation with AI. I think it's so ridiculously powerful. And right now it's fun because it rewrites my emails for me because I'm, Canyon City education and all. Occasionally the grammatical precision isn't there. But I'm using it daily, but that's such a good idea to say, analyze the call, give us a a summary of the call, analyze this, give us a summary. That's fantastic.
And it's not meant to replace us. It's meant to be kind of like a
optimizing
starting point. Right.
Yeah.
Just like when I take it and I'm like, okay, I have to have this conversation, write me out like a template. I'm not using that direct template. I'm using it as a starting point to get my brain flowing.
I do the same thing. Recently, when Fannie and Freddie came out, was it this week or last week? Was it this week? They came out this week and talked about the IPCs being used for the buyer's commission. And I read through all of them, and then I read through a couple articles that were written on it before, and I was going to shoot a video on it. And I took all the data and I put it into ChatGPT, and I'm like, give me a summarization. Like what is, like, if you were to say, what does this mean to me? Give me that. And it gave me a little, 5-line kind of summary of all of it. And in a way that, how do I take all this data, combine it together, and spit it out like this? So it does very, very good for that kind of stuff. It writes great blog articles. I haven't had much success in it writing video script, like the full scripts, because it thinks that it is a Hollywood producer, and it tells you stuff like, man walks in from the left, smiles, looks at house. And you're like, no, dude, I just need I'm not producing a movie here, right?
It told me that we should go skiing down Pikes Peak. And I'm like, that's not true. And then, of course, our videographer made that into a blooper reel because he thought it was hilarious.
There you go.
And Michaela thought it was funny as well. So,
yeah, it can be a little dangerous.
Right.
Yeah. There is a section up there. It's like a bowl up there, right above tree line, where people like to do a lot of skiing.
But it's not for like the average person.
Oh, no. And you're not skiing down Pikes Peak necessarily. You're skiing like maybe 500 feet in elevation. You're not like, it's not like going from 14,000 to 5,000, right? It's not that. I rode my bike down at one time from tree line, and I didn't realize at the time that it was the same day that the Pikes Peak Marathon was going on. And so I started from the side, and they run up Bar Trail to the top. And I got about halfway through my ride before I connect onto Bar Trail. It was beautiful. I was having a great day. And I was like, man, I can't wait to connect a bar. Just bomb down this. Like every 50 feet, some runner, like, get out of my way. So I don't advise skiing down it either.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, AI can lie to you.
Great story, Tim.
Yeah, thank you.
Great story.
It ended with, let's see, how can I end this story? Well, I guess that's it. Let's go back to processes.
Well, I'm glad you were safe. You didn't use your front brake. So that was a good day.
It was a great day.
Yeah.
It was my birthday that day. Yeah.
Happy birthday.
It was actually, here, I'm gonna amplify the story a little bit. Okay.
Uh-oh.
My daughter was about 2 months old, and it was my birthday, and I wanted to ride down Pikes Peak. I didn't want to ride up. I only want to ride down it. So we drove up and dropped me off. I don't know if you've ever taken a 2-month-old at like 13,000 feet in elevation. They're not cool with it. Like, I was really happy to get out of the car and let them deal with it all the way home. But yeah, small children don't like elevation.
Podcast.
Yeah. They don't like loud rock music either. It's bizarre. It's like very particular on the things that they like.
It's hard to breathe up there.
It is. I've had a lot of tourists up there that need oxygen and can't really function too well up there. It gets a little rough. But you grew up in Slida. You're used to tall mountains. You're used to being a little lightheaded in the mountains. So front desk. What else does front desk do?
What does he do all day? Poor guy. My team's going to listen to this and be like, we need to talk to you.
Like, look, I work 9 hours of work in a 4-hour window for you. So
right?
Yeah.
That is probably what they will say. He puts together our pup buys. He greets everybody when they come in. He makes sure that everything's set up.
So pop buys like past clients type things, like maybe
whatever Michaela directs them to do.
Okay, because Michaela's marketing.
Yes. And
so she comes up with an idea and he executes.
Yeah. So he
Awesome.
really works for everybody on the team. They just really give him all of their extra tasks that they don't want to do. And no, he does pop buys. He handles our moving truck, checking it in, checking it out. He actually puts up all of our signs that go up around the city, takes them all down.
Oh, wow.
He does
He's all over
a
the place
lot.
then. Yeah. That would be a lot of stuff going on. All your people have a lot of stuff because they're dealing with 15 different sales. Every one of them is dealing with 15 different sales agents.
And that's a challenge all in its own.
Yeah. So let's talk real quick, just for the sake of time here. I was going to keep talking about Taylor Swift, but I'm going to move past that.
Okay.
And let's go to how a transaction is actually handled. Like you talked about a little bit with a listing manager and a TC and your softwares. All those are awesome amounts of information for people that are, maybe they're at a real estate company that isn't giving them all the tools they need or whatever. And they need to say, man, what are the best of the best doing? Like how do I grab a hold of this? Can you give me an idea when a lead comes in, as an example? Do you have a certain time window that it has to be called or answered or called back?
Immediately.
Immediately. Okay. So like 15 minutes is not acceptable.
No.
7 minutes.
Because here's the thing. There's a lot of great agents in Colorado, especially Colorado Springs.
Yep.
So if they're not getting you, they're moving on. They're not typically waiting for you to call them back.
Yeah.
They're moving on, kind of like what we do when we want to schedule something. If someone doesn't answer, we just typically move on, unless there's some sort of a relationship.
I do that with, what was I trying to schedule the other day? Maybe an electrician or it was plumbing. I was trying to get, my house is built in the 60s, so it comes with all kinds of fun and unique projects all the time.
Great. What part of town do you live in? Because I'd like to sell that house.
I live in Pleasant Valley and I'm not moving.
Oh, yeah. I would love that listing. Thank you.
It's time for you to go. I'm like 5 houses from Garden of the Gods. That's my evening walk. So
that's where my ops manager lives. We're going to need to sell that house.
So your ops manager's house, I'll buy a second one in that neighborhood. No, it's great. I love it over there. But it does come with a lot of unique challenges. And one of those the other day was plumbing. So I called and I didn't have any particular order. So I did what anybody would do as they're looking for a realtor or anybody else. I go onto Google and they give me a list of relevancy based off my location. And I look at number of reviews. If they have 3 5-star reviews, maybe. But if I see like 300 5-star reviews, I'm like, oh, these people are doing good. If I see 300 reviews and it's like 2.5, nope, right? But if I'm like 4.7 and above with like, 150 or more is kind of like, okay, I feel like it's reliable at that point. And so, but I go through and I call. And what I noticed with plumbing places is they don't answer the phone because they're out plumbing stuff, right? What they don't have is they don't have an office front desk person. They don't have a phone answerer. They don't have the structure for a lot of them. But being this, I'm like probably the most patient person you're ever going to meet. So like, I don't know, half a second later.
I'm sorry. Who has experienced this? Hold on a second.
I'm predicting the future. So I'll call. They won't answer. I'll go to voicemail. I'm like, dude, I don't want you to call me back sometime. Like within a minute, I'm calling the next place, and it usually takes me maybe three calls or so to get like a tradesperson, and whoever answers the phone, they're kind of the winner, and as off of the pecking order of reviews and such, right? Even if they call me back an hour later, I've already scheduled the person. I've already talked to them. I already know next Tuesday they're stopping by. I don't need to talk to anybody, because the only thing that's going to do for me talking to another plumber is complicate my brain. Even if it's 10% cheaper, it's just going to complicate things for me. And that's like the old, when I was growing up, I'm older than you, but when I was growing up, we had this thing called layaway. You remember layaway? Okay. So for Christmas, my family, we had multiple stores in town that we would go and they would do layaway. We did not have a Walmart, if that's what you're going to ask. We had a Alco and a Gibson's, and
there was a Gibson's in Canyon.
Yeah,
yes, there was.
There was. So we had a few of those places, and we would put things on layaway. But the mindset of that, to me, is once it's on layaway, the mom and dad stop shopping for that skateboard. They're not out looking. The skateboard's out of their mind. They're now looking for the BB gun or the Barbie doll or the, whatever else that they're looking for. So when I get somebody scheduled like that, I'm done. I want it out of my head. I don't want to think about it. And I think the same, what happens with realtors a lot of times is not answering that phone. I called a realtor yesterday and still hasn't called me back. It was about a transaction that was going very awesome, that they should probably know this information. Straight to voicemail. I'm like, man, at least do that little auto text button where it's like, hey, I'm in an appointment. Can I give you a call in 20 or something, right? It's very, very challenging. So when I ask how long does it take to answer the phone, that one thing will set you apart from, I would say 80% of agents, but then you do have that core, right? You have those 10% agents that are on their game, and you're competing with those 2 agents that are on their game, that are going to answer the phone and not wait for your agent to call them back in 15 minutes or 10 minutes or whatever it is. Yeah.
So we have a system called Call Action as well, that when someone calls on one of our listings, that's a buyer, it rings to the entire sales team at the same time.
Oh,
so it rings to
everybody's
15
cell phone? Okay.
people. And then on the listing side, it'll ring to myself and Angela at the same time if it's a listing, because when agents are calling, they're typically calling, well, we want them to call because they're wanting to bring an offer.
Yeah.
They've read the MLS, they've seen, but they have more additional
right.
question
So
for us.
they've got a lot of data, right? They've got a lot of data, and they need one of you two on the phone.
They need one of us on the phone. That is the goal of that. So we are obviously not perfect. There are times we don't answer our phone. But we try to set it up so that realtors can get a hold of us if they use the systems that we provide.
You're gonna if everything goes like they're saying in July, you're gonna be getting a whole lot more of those phone calls on every listing. What's the commission? What's the commission? What's the co-op fee on this one? Right.
We're going to change that wording. I am single-handedly going to change the word from commission.
Oh.
I'm not sure how that's going to take place.
Is this going to be like a worldwide
It is.
dictionary change?
It is going to be a worldwide dictionary change. Okay. Realtors do not make commission. We make professional fees.
Ooh.
Because we are...
It's like saying my plumber makes a commission. He doesn't make a commission. He goes in and does his work, and he gets paid for it.
Right. So we are getting paid professional fees. We are no longer getting paid a commission, because commission sounds negotiable. Right? And the fact of you can cut it down and chop it up and
If I
whatever
go buy
you
a
want
car
to.
and I know the guy's making $1,000, well, maybe he should only make $700 and I should get $300 off my car.
Right.
Yeah, interesting.
We're trying to, Michaela and I.
You got a market. You got a marketing
I
guru
just
on your
spurred
team.
into that. I'm like, we need to change our wording. We need to protect our industry. We need to say, like, it's not a commission.
Well, words
'Cause a
matter and
commission-
presentation matters.
Right. Commission implies that I'm getting paid an hourly wage and then commissions on top of it. It's a bonus on top of it.
Yeah.
For realtors, it's the only fee we're getting.
Yeah.
And sometimes we don't even get the fee.
Yeah.
And yes, the fee is negotiable and always has been negotiable, but it needs to be more of a standard word, not, I think commission to me sounds like I can do what I want with it.
Yeah. It completely does. Yeah. Interesting.
Kind of like tip.
Yeah, I can tip
Right.
you 5%, 20%, 25%, or nothing based off of how I feel. Right. Interesting. Well, good luck in that pursuit of
We'll see what
of
happens.
changing that. Yeah. So a lead comes in, and I know we're pushing time, but I really want to dig into this just a little bit more. I would like to hear a little bit more about the workflow. Like, let's say you get somebody under contract. They're a buyer, and they get under contract. Can you give me an idea of the workflow? Like, you have the one person, the TC, who's in communication, and the agent who's in communication, and the client, right? So that's like your three-way SMS/text, right?
Yes.
What is kind of the workflow look like? Like it right when it starts, the TC is notified. Can you kind of give me an idea of like what happens?
It's 250 tasks
Holy crap, we don't have time. Never mind.
per transaction.
250 tasks,
Per transaction.
and that's the TC's job.
which is why I'm changing the word from commission to professional fee.
Holy smokes!
Because these are things that we've built over the last 20 years, things
Yeah.
that we learn along the way that we're like, we need to make that standard to check for that. We need
Yeah.
to make that standard to check for that. We need to
Yeah.
not get caught here and not get,
Yep.
not have our
Yeah.
clients ask us. And so we are really big on communication. We feel that if our client calls us, we've lost.
Oh,
If we are
interesting.
not staying ahead of them and notifying them and having communication, then we're not doing things right and we're not communicating enough.
So you need to call them, and it's okay for them to ask questions when
Of course.
when you call them. But if they're having to call you, then you didn't give enough information the first time, and you hadn't called them in time the second time.
Right.
There's-
Like, what do I do for an inspection? I don't know how to get ready for an inspection. How do I get ready for an open house? What do you want me to do? Like, what do I have to do? Do I have to leave? Do I have to whatever? People don't know this information, and we
Yeah.
expect people to know our acronyms, and we expect people to know the process.
Yeah.
So we want to make it, of course, look visually appealing and be easy. So we have roughly, that many tasks that we do on every
Yeah.
single file. And we use open and close, and it just checks them off one at a time because they obviously know how they're doing it. But, it's like first they're going to turn in earnest money. We make sure they turned in earnest money. Then we're going to make sure that they schedule their inspection and they got the inspection list with the 3 inspectors
and yet you have
on there.
timelines on those, I assume.
And we have timelines on
Okay.
all of those, much like the lending world
Yeah, we're very heavy on that stuff. Yeah.
has timelines.
Yeah, it's interesting to take that approach. We're very heavy in that approach as far as you have so much time to get this and to get that, and that's why we have our transaction manager to make sure those timelines are met.
Everything.
It's that experience is the whole thing.
Right.
Right.
We want the stressful part of the transaction to be moving, right? Because moving's horrible. Nobody
Yeah.
likes moving.
Yeah,
So,
that's why I'm not moving. So
well, you are.
just
Tom,
not.
Michaela, can you tell Tom to put the sign up?
If I get home and there's a sign in my yard, it's gonna be very uncomfortable.
Not for me. I'm gonna have a sale.
Like, this is what we call the assumed close. Tim.
This
Yeah.
this is how we close.
Yeah.
We just put signs up in people's yards, and they're like, "What are we doing?" We're like, "We're selling your house today." They're like, "Okay."
Oh, well,
So
I guess I thought of it.
where am I
Okay.
going?
We're gonna find you a new one. We're gonna find you that dream home, buddy.
That's right.
Down the street, across town, doesn't matter. We'll find it for you.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we're very much like one thing at a time, work on one file at a time, make sure people are updated every step of the way, and then move on. So it's,
So let me go, and I know we're short on time, but this is very important information, and I know how we do it in the mortgage world. So when you're looking at that one task, at a time or one file at a time. Is it, do you get like a daily schedule from your CRM that says these are the things you need to work on today?
Yes, from open and close.
Okay.
And then we also have like a task management that tells us like through check. If you do this, then now you do this. If they zig, you zag.
Yep.
So it's doing all of that because we want to
If it's this, then that.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
So we have all that built into open and close, but all of that obviously takes time. But I would say for people just starting out, the CRM they should use is the one that their broker is probably providing for them for free.
The free one. They're not out paying $100 a month
No.
or $125 bucks a month.
Use that one. And even if people are like, I'd rather use Excel.
Yeah.
I excel at Excel.
Yeah.
Great. Knock it out of the ballpark. Like
Yep.
whatever works good for you. The idea in business is really to just see everybody's ideas, have it spark one glimmer into your head,
Yep.
and then make it your own and put your own spin on it.
Yeah.
That's really all that this is.
Well, when I went to your mastermind thing the other day, and you guys are talking about real estate, I'm in mortgages, but when I'm there, it's like I'm like hyper into what you're talking about because I'm like the whole time from start to finish, I'm like, what they're saying, how can that be implemented into what I'm doing in the mortgage world? And you find little tiny nuggets, right? I go to a Tony Robbins seminar and I'm pumped and I'm hyped, but I find that one gold nugget, right? There's that one that I know I can continuously implement into my life, and it's worth the day.
Yes.
Right? It's worth it. Now, I will say I texted you in the very middle of that mastermind, and you texted me back. Do you always text during presentations, or?
Well, maybe.
Well, you still.
I mean,
rocked it.
I try to. It's definitely hard to respond. I mean, probably like 100 text messages a day.
Oh my gosh.
So like right now I have 10 that I haven't responded to. So it's definitely a work in progress, but with AI, we're going to be able to work through that.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty excited about that because I want to respond to people quickly because I like when people respond to me quickly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. But it's also, my daughter said this so well last night. She was like, we need to give each other grace because we're all living our first life.
Ooh. Wow. Interesting.
Right. And it's just like, we're all learning how to do this because this is like our first day today. So we're all learning how to do this. And I was like, you're so right. Like
today's brand new to me.
Right.
I've never been in this exact scenario before. I'm going to handle it the best I can. And,
Right.
and therefore I'm going to hopefully have enough grace for you to understand that you're going to handle this the best you can.
Right.
You're doing good, by the way.
Thank you. I turned my phone off for you, which makes Michaela very proud of me, actually. It really does.
Step in the right direction.
Yes.
Right?
Although
how old's your daughter?
She is 14.
14. Wow.
And 8th grade is hard.
Yeah.
And so she was talking about
Middle
how
school for a girl.
kids are mean.
Yeah.
And how she doesn't want to be friends with kids that are mean to other kids. And so she was like, don't they understand that this is just their first day? Like
Wow.
they're just learning
Yeah.
how to do today.
Yeah.
And I was like, you're so right. They are.
It's amazing. Yeah.
Like, you know, she's never taken this test that she's taking today as an 8th grader today.
Today's the
Those
first one.
CMAS or whatever.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't like those.
But I got to tell you something that I know you're talking to Aaron, my husband.
Yeah.
And you told him that your dad was the training officer
at DOC.
At DOC,
the
which is
corrections.
Department of Corrections.
For those who are not from our neck of the woods, yes.
So your dad was actually one of my instructors when
What?
I
No
went
way.
through basic training.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Wow, that's totally
I
cool.
know.
Wow,
I
I had
know.
no idea.
So I graduated.
You graduated.
I didn't cause any trouble there, so he did a good job
Nice.
instructing me.
All right. Yeah, no, they
Yeah.
did. I used to go over there when he was working there, and they would do gang violence classes. They would do like self-defense. They would do this and that, and like all these different. It was at the Abbey in Canyon City.
I stayed at the Abbey.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I
Interesting.
stayed there for basic training
Wow. Okay. In the old dorms.
in the old dorms.
For people who don't know what the Abbey is, look it up. It is
It's
right
now a winery.
I know. Right now, it's just a bunch of monks who make wine. Right? They just. I used to go over there in high school before because they shut that down. It was just like just monks would stay there, and then I'd go there, and one of the monks was a boxer, and he'd kind of taught us how to box a little bit. We we didn't have nothing to do. I mean, we didn't have cell phones, didn't have computers. So it was after school. Parents are working.
No SMS either. What a day.
I did not have mail at the time. So, but yeah, now they just, they're just, I mean, I'm not going to say they're just a bunch of drunkard monks, but they just make wine now. That's how they. But if you have not been in there, that place is cool. Like you go into the chapel.
It's very cool until you live there for a month.
It kind of sucks. You're on the outskirts of Canyon, and yeah, wow, that's
cool. On a
plastic
dormitory bed, it's not great.
Yeah.
So yeah, your dad was an instructor of mine.
I had no idea. That's exciting. Yeah. He went to Iraq after that. Well, actually, I take it back. After that, he became associate warden in Sterling.
That's what Aaron told
Yeah, they
me.
opened up the Sterling facility, and we toured that when they were opening it. It was already open, and I got to tell you that we were in the yard. We were walking through, and keep in mind, I was like, at the time, I was focused on mountain bikes, and I was a salesman for a tile company, like sold tile, and so that was my world, And I go into this prison, and man, it is freaky. But as a kid, we'd go through the prisons sometimes, like for Boy Scouts. He took us on a tour as Boy Scouts. What kind of crazy stuff is it? Taking a bunch of 12-year-old.
It's called Scared Straight. It's a TV show on Netflix now.
Kind of crazy.
Before Netflix.
Exactly. Yeah, we didn't have dial-up. So we're walking through the yard, and I'm like thinking I'm all like, I know something.
Oh.
I'm like, hey, Dad, all the walls are like this is depressing. And this is like, at the time I was like super, like I was crazed about the sales process. Like I was just fascinated with it. I would go to every seminar, and this is when I was doing a ton of Tony Robbins stuff, and I was just like, I was going to be the best salesman ever. Right. And so like for like a decade, that's all I focused on. And so I was like right in the middle of this. So I'm thinking I know something about human psychology. I'm like, this place is kind of depressing. It's like, if you got gray walls everywhere, brown dirt on the floor, like maybe if you added some color and something like that, kind of bring up morale a little bit. And he just stops in the middle of the yard, and he gets this like kind of stern look, and he's like, if they want color, they can look up at the sky. I said, oh, okay, that conversation's over. That's nice. That's good. Yeah, I learned a lot of interesting lessons from my dad working in prisons.
It prepared you for real estate, just like it prepared me for real estate as well.
Exactly. So I feel like gang violence classes really helped me get through this.
Just wait till we get off airing.
Well, we are hitting an hour, Treasure. I did not go as deep as I wanted as far as the process and the exact, but you shared a ton. You're very open with how your team is structured, and I think that's going to help a lot of realtors out to understand that you don't have to go at it alone. You don't have to do it alone, and to think that you're going to do everything by yourself, you're going to be very limited in what you can do. You have your strengths. Michaela has her strengths. Leanne has her strengths. And all those people make you better by doing awesome at what they do.
100%.
Well, thanks for being here again.
Thank you.
Part two.
Yeah. Thank you for the invitation. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
And now we're going to have some gang violence.
Now we're going to. That wraps up another episode of AgentSuccessPodcast.com, where we cut to the chase every single week.
That wraps up another episode of Agent Success Podcast. Remember, you can find new episodes each week at AgentSuccessPodcast.com. We hope you found the insights and best practices shared today truly valuable. And if you did, please subscribe, rate, and leave a review on your favorite podcast platform. Remember, your success is a journey of learning and improvement. So let's keep hustling, thriving, and learning. Until next week, this is Tim Chase.